All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep and unpacking the lyrical persona of Cordell Miller. And believe me, it's complex, it's confrontational, and it's absolutely full of contradictions.
So let's just start with this one line, because it's really the key to everything. It's from his track, Cordell Miller's Syllable Killa, and it's basically his mission statement, right? He's telling you straight up, he's unfiltered, he's unapologetic, and he couldn't care less about mainstream approval.
Okay, so to really get this persona, we've got to start at the very foundation. And that foundation, it's all about the hustle. This one idea, this mentality is literally the engine driving almost everything he talks about. And when he says hustle, he's not talking about some side gig. Nope. This is a complete worldview. It's about making money any way you can. We're talking everything from online trading stocks and blue chips all the way to the strong-arm hustle. At the end of the day, the goal is simple, a total all-in commitment to getting paid. You see, this isn't just some abstract idea for him. He grounds it in this claimed history of struggle, of crime. The persona is basically saying, hey, this is real life for me. It's something born out of necessity from a long, long history of being on the wrong side of the law. So he lays out this kind of hustler's code. And what's fascinating is that it's less about just random violence and way more about a calculated, almost corporate business mindset. So first things first, money is everything, period. Second, quality is crucial. He even compares his music to pure, uncut dope to make this point. Third, it's about being smart, not just strong. Brains over brawn. And finally, this whole thing, it's not just a job. He calls it an addiction to getting that paper. All right, so from that hustle mentality, we get the next layer of this persona. It builds right into this idea of him being the seasoned veteran, the OG. He paints himself as this relic from what he sees as a more authentic, a more real time. And he's constantly hammering this point home. His longevity, his authority. He says he's been in the game since '88. That makes him, in his own words, authentic vintage. He's not some new guy on the block. And that history, well, that becomes his license to just tear into and dismiss the current generation, who he just calls fried kids. Yeah, he draws this really sharp line in the sand between himself and this new generation. He's basically demanding respect just because of his experience, even boasting he has pants older than his rivals. He talks down to them like they're babies who need to wipe your milk mustache, and then just comes right out and says their music is trash. No holding back. So we've gone from the streets to the rap game, and now the persona elevates itself to a whole other level. We're talking the realm of the divine. Seriously, this isn't just confidence anymore. This is a full-blown God complex. And it starts with this simple, really direct statement. He's declaring he's superior to any earthly ruler. In his world, being a king just isn't enough. It's insufficient. He's aiming for something way higher, something more absolute. Then he escalates it. He goes from talking about earthly power to claiming actual divine attributes, like being omnipresent, being everywhere at once. The idea here is that his influence is totally inescapable, that it's in every single corner of his world. And see, this isn't just a title he's giving himself. He's claiming the actual powers of a god. He's not just living in reality, he says he creates it. He's like this gravitational center, providing life energy to everything that orbits him. His music, that's a direct line to the spirit. And at the end of it all, he just declares, I make the rules here. And it's perfect. Okay, so when you see yourself as a god, what comes next? Well, this self-deification leads us to maybe the most challenging part of this whole persona, a completely unfiltered, often contradictory social commentary. He's actively pushing back against pretty much any mainstream thought. This worldview has him just going hard against the mainstream story, especially when it comes to really sensitive issues of race and justice. Honestly, his stance seems like it's designed for maximum provocation. It's all about challenging what everyone else seems to agree on. Take this line, for example. The persona just directly challenges the entire narrative around George Floyd's death. He introduces this detail that's clearly meant to cast doubt on his status as a victim. It's a really confrontational rejection of a huge cultural moment. And he does something very similar with the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. He presents this really skeptical, almost victim-blaming point of view. By questioning the details of the story, the persona is basically implying that Arbery was somehow responsible for what happened to him. And this right here brings us to a huge contradiction. The persona will claim to be pro-black, but then in the very same breath, he declares he's pro-police and warns other black people to stay off his lawn. It's just a total collision of conflicting identities, all in one place. So the big question is, how do all these pieces even fit together? You've got the hustler, the veteran, the god, the contrarian. Well, they all build towards this one, singular, absolutely uncompromising identity. You can see how they all connect. They combine to form this one identity that just refuses to be watered down or softened for anybody. Each piece reinforces the others, The hustle justifies the contrarian views. His veteran status backs up the god complex. And the whole thing is delivered in that same, completely unfiltered voice. But then, at the very end of it all, the persona kind of rejects all labels, even the ones he seems to embrace. And what's left? This radical survivalist individualism. It all boils down to this one identity, an American man who's focused only on his own self-interest, on getting what he can, and he's not loyal to any group or any ideology. So where does that leave us? What does it all mean? Well, think about it. In a world where everyone has these carefully curated brands and public images, the Cordell Miller persona is a complete rejection of all that. It really forces you to ask a question. Is this some kind of radical authenticity? Or is it just a performance designed to provoke a reaction? And maybe more importantly, what does an artist like this tell us about the labels we all use to define ourselves?